everyone, it's Mary Blocker from Mary's Card Cafe, and I'm so glad you're with me for my simple yet stunning Sunday video. I want you to know that I'm very excited today because I'm going to show you a fantastic technique today to make the most beautiful backgrounds on your cards for a wonderful technique. Now, I was inspired because the beautiful butterfly bijou paper that Stampin' Up! Had with the beautiful Butterfly Brilliance stamp set and bundle. And the paper, the beautiful designer paper, is no longer available. But if you see, the one side of the papers had this beautiful kind of like cloudy, watercolory tone to it. And I said, we can make that ourselves. We just need a little bit of tools and we're ready to go. So let's talk about it and we'll make a card together today. For this particular card here, I used the wonderful Dragonfly Garden stamp set. I absolutely love this stem of flowers. And this card actually would have looked really great with the dragonflies as well. I like the fonts, and one of the things I like about the sentiments that are on here is that it has different fonts in the sentiment. Like it's just a text here and then a cursive. And I really like that look. So I used that, and I used the Dragonfly Duet Punch to get those little black dragonflies on both cards there. So for the card there that has the pinks and purple hues and yellows, I'm using the Positive Thought stamp set. I absolutely love this stem of leaves. The other thing, the sentiments in this set are wonderful. Friends like you mean more every year, sending positive thoughts and feel-good wishes, hugs, prayers, and love. This stamps beautifully. As you can see, I have it here and the greeting right there. Now, how did I get these beautiful backgrounds? It's all about a piece of acetate. Now, you get these acetate sheets in your photopolymer stamp sets. And basically, the photopolymer stamps are on this acetate sheet, and then there's a little crinkly paper that's over top. So that's what I'm using today, is I'm going to be using the acetate sheet. I'm also going to use our Stampin' Up! Stamp and Write markers. They are water-based markers, so they are perfect for this technique because then when you spritz with our Stampin' Up! Spritzers with water, you will get a beautiful effect, watercolor effect. And so that's what we're going to do today. Now notice both of my cards here were done with stamping our images in black. So there, it just really gives a striking, just stunning look to them by stamping your images and things in the black. Well, I'm going to do a little different for the card we're going to make together today to show you this technique. And we are going to use the Butterfly Brilliance stamp set today. This one here, and as you know, this is a one large stamp. I have another stamp set of this where I've cut out all of the butterflies separately so that I could have multiple uses. I could stamp this one whole image. I could also try to stamp just one on this large stamp, but I always have a problem of going over the edges and getting the other one on there. So it's only a $17 stamp set, so I picked up another one, cut them all out, and I could have a duplicate set. So we're going to use that today. We're also going to be using our Stamparatus. The Stamparatus, if you don't have that, it will allow you to line up your images exactly how you want them and then to stamp them. This will be really handy today because we're doing some kind of watercoloring things. We're going to make our cardstock wet. We do need it to be pretty dry in order to stamp our images. And so I can repeat my stamping over and over again because it'll stay in the exact same position. So what are we going to do today? Well, I have a piece of our thick basic white as our card base, cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have a 4 by 5 1/4 piece Misty Moonlight. And then I have 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around just for a very thin border around of another basic thick white. You want to use thick basic white for this technique because it just holds the water much better. So I'm going to use my Misty Moonlight, and I have my acetate sheet, and I'm just going to color scribbly dibbly all over my card here. well, all over the acetate sheet, sorry. And I know when I get to the end of the acetate, since it's clear, I kind of hit that paper towel that I have, and I'm just going to scribble a little. Then I'm going to bring in my yellow, which I think I'm using crushed curry. Yes, I am. Crushed curry is a nice color. It's not a brassy, bright yellow, which works really well for this. I'm kind of going and scribbling along the outside. It's also going to blend with the Misty Moonlight really well and give some green hues to it. So I'm going to do that. And now I've got this beautifully painted, so to speak, acetate. And now I'm going to bring in my spritzer. When you purchase the Stampin' Up! Spritzers, you actually get 2 in a package, which is really great. I like to take and put re-inker in mine with water, and then I will spritz my front of my project sometimes. Now I'm getting this really good and wet because I want the colors to kind of pool and mix together. And now I'll grab my piece of basic white, and when I put this down, I'm going to give it a little kind of wiggle back and forth, and then really push down. And you want to see that color just kind of squish out the ends. Really wet. You can see what I mean about the thick basic white cardstock. Really needs to be something sturdy. So I'll just give that a second, and as it's soaking up, it will start to curl on an edge here. See how it's curled? And I'm going to pick that up now, and look at this beautiful background that I have. That's just gorgeous. You grab another little piece here, and I'm going to press that down. Now notice what's happening here. It is curling up. Wet paper, when it gets really wet, it will curl, but that's not going to be a problem for us. I'm going to bring in my heat tool, and I'm going to go ahead and get this drying. What you'll notice as it dries, it will curl, but then it will start to flatten out again. And that starts to let you know that it's drying. Every time you do this technique, it looks different. It's so great. And you'll start to see how it'll start to uncurl as it starts to dry. This will get a little too hot for me to hold. But see how it's just folding right back out to straight and flat? I love that. It actually will go as I keep drying. It'll start curling the other way. And so then I'll just turn it over. Now this one I'm doing here is turning out to be quite a kind of a under the sea look to it as far as I'm concerned. I could be doing some seashells and coral with this, more so than the butterflies, but I think that'll work out just great. I got a lot more green in this than I anticipated, but that's what you do. You just play with that, but really simple, right? I guess that'll be plenty good. It still has that kind of little crinkly look to it, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of our paper towel here. There's my little Mary's Card Cafe and my website for you. Now let's go ahead. I said I was going to bring in my Stamparatus. Now, let's just get that out of the way. So the Stamparatus is a really great tool. I'm going to put this right in the middle. And one of the reasons I like to put things in the middle of the Stamparatus is, remember, the hinge side is up a little farther than this base here. And if I have it all the way over to this corner, sometimes I don't get enough cushion to push down to get the image to be on there. So what I want to do is I'm going to line it up on a line, and I'm going to just put this right on the edge. And this one's going to go right on the edge as well, except for I'm going to wait until I put my butterflies down, because this has a gap right here, and I want to make sure my butterflies are getting on the cardstock completely. So now I can go ahead and put that magnet down, and I know my butterflies are going to stamp completely there. This other one right here is kind of in the way for that butterfly, but I think we'll be okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and press that down to pick up my stamp. There we go. And now we're going to use our Misty Moonlight, the same color that I used the marker for. And when I go ahead and I ink up, I do a little kind of push and twist. That helps as far as I'm concerned, to really get that color in there. Now you'll see what I mean about needing to maybe stamp a second time, because if this cardstock's not completely dry, it will take more than one stamping to get it really good and inked up. So let's lift our butterflies, and as you can see what's happened right there. So what I'm going to do, because I got this one really well, I'm going to shift my magnet to right here to hold that, because I really want to make sure I get this butterfly really well. I also see here, but now I'm not going to clean my stamp. I'm going to go ahead and just ink up again, kind of twisting a little bit as I put it down so I'm not stamping on the same spot of the stamp pad every time. And now I'll go ahead, and now I'll be able to get this butterfly's wing here because the magnet's not in the way anymore. And then I remember I need to press really good in the center. It's gonna look great. It's gonna be stunning. There we go. And look at that. So if this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome to you. If you would, click that like, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe. Ooh, I see a spot right there. I see a spot right there. Let's not miss that. So I'm not going to ink up anything more than just that right here to try to get that center of that butterfly better. Right there. And for those of you who are returning, thank you so much. I appreciate you returning, and I hope you're subscribed and you've clicked that bell so you don't miss any of my videos. I'll go ahead and set that aside. Let's take a look. Now, isn't that beautiful? It's the same Misty Moonlight, but it's been diluted, by the yellow, and then that Misty Moonlight ink is so nice and deep, and it just brings those butterflies to the forefront. It's just beautiful. All right, and so now I have this, like I said, that tiny little layer around that I'm going to go ahead and glue this to. I'm going to put that right onto that cardstock, just so I don't get any kind of sticky or goopy or colors that might be on the tabletop, since I don't have a mat down. Now I'm going to go ahead and use quite a bit of glue here, since my cardstock probably is not quite dry yet. And I'll go ahead and put that down. There we are. Then I'll go ahead and put this down on this card front. As you can see, we need to protect our surfaces that we've stamped and worked so hard on. There we are. There we go. Now I love that very much. Now something else that I have is we're going to go ahead and do our greeting today. And I have a couple of 3/4 inch basic white pieces here. And I'm going to use the Sending Positive Thoughts and Feel Good Wishes for my card. And I hope my strips are wide enough. Let's go ahead and stamp. Oh, I think it'll work out just fine. There we are. That works out perfect. Okay, now I did do that right in the center, which is good, because I'm going to pull in, let's pull in a punch, tag punch for our pick a banner punch here, and let's put that in. And I like to flip it over because sometimes the way that we put it in isn't exactly centered, and I just want to make sure that we are centered. There we are. Do it one more time. Make sure I am centered. Looks good. And that's beautiful. Now it is very stark white here, isn't it? It is quite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1/4 of a stamping sponge, which, by the way, Stampin' Up! Sponges are retiring. And so if you don't have any of those, they really do make quick work I always pat it off so I don't get a blob of color. And this will tone down that basic white so it's just not so stark. Since I did a really pretty background, I've covered up most of the white except the white base of the card. So that little bit of sponging on there, see the difference that that makes by doing that? I think that's great. Now I'm going to go ahead and raise these up with dimensionals. Grab those. You can add so much beauty to a card by making a little bit of dimension with some of your things. All right, I'm going to put that right here. Sending positive thoughts and feel good wishes, but we are not done. We also have the Butterfly Duet Punch. This is also a punch that is retiring along with the Butterfly Gala set that it coordinates with. And so you should check that out. It's only available through the end of May. And you don't want to miss that. So I have a scrap of my Misty Moonlight, and I only want this small butterfly. I'm going to do a few of them. Let's see. Can I get one more? There we go. And one more, and set those aside. So what I'd like to do is to go ahead and add a butterfly or two on my card today. I think that looks good. All right, so let's bring in the mini glue dots. And I'm going to just press that to the center and pull it out. I'm going to put one right here and one right up here. You usually do things in odd numbers, but I think that'll look great today, just doing those two. And then what I think I'd like to do is I'm going to pull in, let's see if I have any here. I just have some of our adhesive back sequins, and I thought it might be neat to include that on the butterfly. There we go. I think that looks terrific. One more thing that I'm going to do today is to take my Misty Moonlight, and I love a little bit of splatter effect. So I'm just using my Stampin' Right marker, and I've shared this before on my Facebook page where I do Wednesday Facebook Lives where I just scrape it along and I can get these splatters. And I really want the splatter to go on my white base. I didn't want to protect that. So I don't know if you can see the splatter I've got going on. That's even taken down the white of the greeting there as well. So there you have that. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to add one more sequin to give it that odd number. Whoop, I just popped it off there. And I'm going to put it right here. There we go. And now I've kind of got that odd number thing going on that just seems to be a great interior design thing. Well, there it is, you guys. That's that simple yet stunning way to create those beautiful backgrounds using your Stampin' Right markers and using your Stampin' Up! Spritzer with water and the acetate sheet. So easy. So let's go ahead and pull our cards in. There's that one. And again, just to show that you don't have to use just the black. But there we are. There's our 3 beautiful cards today. For this one, I used the Misty Moonlight and the yellow again. For this one, I used the Magenta Madness, Highland Heather, and the Crushed Curry, as you can see here. The Highland Heather really kind of bled and almost disappeared. I used the little Duet Dragonfly Punch, and then the retiring Butterfly Duet Punch. And oh, one of my favorite sets, you guys, is Retiring to the Positive Thought Stamp Set. So give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed my video today. Share if you would. I would love that. And if you'd like to see more techniques like this, my demonstrator friend Della Dulac, she has a video where she's using her stamping blocks and markers and spritzing to do some spotlight stamping. So you can see how she uses those on the clear blocks as well. And I'll put her link down below for her video for it. You should definitely check it out. So again, guys, thanks so much for subscribing if you would and sharing. I would really appreciate that. And until next time, happy stamping.